should have some Carmen. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Carmen.
Addicted to Jesus. Give me it. No, all right. I'll go there. I was doing that offline.
Yeah, it was better that way.
Welcome to Cross Politics Midweek Fix. It's good to be with you guys. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox. I'm the Water Boy. Thank you for joining us. While you're at it, make sure you share the show.
I'll do that right now.
Yep, hit the share button, hit the like button, go ahead and comment.
Did you just say Rush Limbaugh died?
Rush Limbaugh passed away today. Yeah.
Wow.
Carmen,
So
Rush
Carmen
Limbaugh?
this week, Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
Rush Limbaugh, who paved the way for us, even.
Yeah, conservative talk radio.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Legend.
Absolutely.
Legend.
Yeah, I feel like we're just right behind Rush. I mean, we are so close.
It's Rush to be Tucker Carlson and Cross Politics. Just the big three.
Yeah, that's
Woo,
right.
help us, Jesus.
Help us. So, rest in peace, Carmen and Rush.
Man.
What do you think? Rush was a Christian? I think he was.
I have no idea.
I have reason to believe. Was he Catholic?
I don't know.
Look it up.
That's interesting.
But
anyways, that's an offline conversation we should have probably had before we started.
We don't plan for these
It's been
things.
a funny morning. Let's just put it that way.
This coffee is really good, though.
It is
Good.
It's Cross Politics coffee.
Can you buy? We don't talk about this, but we have coffee that people
You can
buy.
literally buy it online.
And we were pretty particular about this coffee.
Yeah. Sovereignty roast,
It's
right?
my favorite coffee. Eventually, I'm going to open up a coffee shop called Rowdy Coffee. And this is going to be
Good.
This is going to be the bean that feeds that rowdiness.
Okay.
I just said that live again. That's probably another offline conversation.
Did you know we were going to have a coffee?
should have.
That's good.
You want to go over our finances right now, too? Should I read this?
Not yet,
this
because
thing?
I just want to remind people that subscribe to our magazine, because March 1st is the deadline to get this issue.
Right.
Obviously, your subscription will get you a year's worth, 4 magazines, but March 1st is the deadline to be able to get into this issue for that subscription.
After this, you have to buy. You're gonna have special order this first issue or something like that.
So we're gonna figure it out.
Can you special order it?
Not yet.
But
this is another conversation we should have offline.
Why not? No, keep going.
Hey, let me handle our plugs. You handle the plugs I give you.
This is like a family. We're just like a family. We just have family conversation
In front of everybody. Just
in front of everybody.
family meeting, guys.
I feel like I'm at the TSA right now, right?
Getting your pat down?
Seriously, get my pat down. I'm like, come on. Do we have to do this publicly?
No.
Really?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, and then, of course, the rally sign up. Registrations are popping in South Dakota.
Steve Dace.
Doug
Pastor
Wilson.
Yeah.
Ben Merkel. Toby. Sheriff Wheeler.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited.
He's a real sheriff.
A real one. And a real sheriff who's been...
And he's been standing up against tyranny.
Yep.
So he's going to teach us about defying tyrants at the county level.
Yeah, as a sheriff. So good.
Yeah.
Which we have no idea.
And he's a Presbyterian sheriff.
Man.
Don't scare the Baptists off. What are you doing?
He's a nice Presbyterian sheriff.
Yeah. Lastly... I don't even know how to keep going.
Just keep going.
Left Wire News. It's our new news aggregator from Cross Politics and the Fight Laugh Feast Network. DEFTwire.com.
What does DEF stand for?
Skillful,
artful.
Yep.
Capable.
Quick.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Okay.
Current, fresh, real news.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you can do the plug.
Lovely segue, guys.
Now I will read the plug.
This is us behind Rush Limbaugh. Just like we're so close.
Rush would be proud.
All the segues. Yeah.
Covenant Preparatory School is located in Southern Pines, North Carolina. They are dedicated to a true classical education. They don't just want classical in the name. They teach Latin for real.
Right.
They want their students reading, writing, and speaking in tongues. I mean, in Latin. To do this, they need teachers who are masters of the subject. They need. What do you just wave at me? I'm going to keep talking. I can't hear nothing. Okay. They are dedicated to a true classical education. They don't just want classical in the name. That means they teach Latin for real. They want their students reading and writing and speaking the language. To do this, they need teachers who are masters of the subject, who are willing to become one. At CPS, the teacher is not a slave to the textbook. The teacher is at the helm. You'll have the freedom to push your students to their full potential. You'll be served rather than constrained by the minimal admin staff. They also pay their teachers well, and you only teach 3 days instead of 5 days a week.
So you have more time with the family.
If you love God, love kids, love teaching, love Latin, math, and the humanities, this is the best place to share your talents. Go to Covenant Prep, covenantprep.com if you're interested. You also send an email to Ruben, NSA alum. Ruben Jansen at hotmail.com. You're showing Hotmail, huh, man? That's how you know he's a classicist. It's like classical email.
Since we're dirtying our airing laundry, you follow that one?
Oh, help
Since
us.
we're airing our dirty laundry, it sounds like we're only got one mic on.
One mic is only on, huh?
Yep. Should we just?
I think we're good.
I think we just shut the board down and shut it on again. That's what happened last time.
I think we got good from our producer.
Got good? All right. Thumbs up. Okay. So let's get in our news.
Yeah.
So I had Pastor James Coates on my water break show, which
Last
is on
Thursday.
Yeah,
Last Thursday.
From Grace
4
Life.
p.m. And if you guys have been following kind of what's been going on in Alberta, and then of course we brought in Pastor Jacob Rayom in Ontario. We had him on and kind of been following some of the trouble that's been going on in Canada. It's unbelievable what's going on. But Pastor James didn't get arrested. Well, he got arrested.
He did get arrested.
But they released him right on site.
Right.
And so they arrested him at church, and then they released him right on site at church.
It's a Canadian thing. They
Yeah, I guess.
arrest you, they're like,
That's how nice Canadians are. We're like,
click,
Well,
click.
actually, that's
All
not true.
Now
That's
we're going to take them off.
It's an American
How
thing,
do you
too.
feel?
They
that an
actually,
American
the officers can still do that here
They
in
can
America.
arrest you
They
and then release you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Right on site.
How do you like the feel of that?
I have
Click.
I have a friend who is a sergeant who actually did this so that a person who didn't have to, a kid who he didn't feel like needed to be arrested because his captain wanted that kid arrest the kid and release the kid, and then they couldn't be arrested again right there in the moment.
so we technically obeyed.
Exactly.
That's some
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah.
So you can still do that.
Sometimes you got to do that.
sometimes cops can be smart.
But anyways, sometimes not. And so the RCMP has been like going to church.
Yeah, so they went to he got arrested, released, and then they went to church again that next week. I had him on Thursday before he preached the sermon on Sunday.
They said no more preaching, and he said,
I can't
preach.
stop. So he got arrested again or turned himself in this week after he preached on Sunday. And here's kind of a little update on where we're at with him.
And RCMP say they've been keeping an eye on Grace Life Church since early December. Right now, services must be limited to 15%. Will in some way help end the pandemic.
What'd you hit?
I don't know what I hit. This is just one of those shows, huh?
This is one of those shows.
This is really one of those shows.
How did the audio not go in my ear?
Well,
Is the Mac Mini right here? Here we go.
you got it?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Oh, okay.
So this is what happens when Gabe does his shows. He resets the whole studio, and then we get back, and we have no idea how anything
No
works.
idea what's going on.
Have
Yeah.
you talked to the pastor since this?
So I got an email from Jacob Rayom this morning.
Not this pastor, but Jacob's his friend.
Jacob Rayom's, he's in touch with Pastor James and his wife. So right now they've been messaging with his wife. And he, should we play the clip now that I got it all
See if you got
figured out?
sound.
See if it works.
I don't know what you did, but you switched it.
No,
So
it's gone
Oh, it's
now.
the Mac Mini speaker.
all right. So you talked to the pastor.
All right,
This clip
let's
is not
go
going
on
to. God doesn't want us to play this clip today.
Nah.
Okay, and so he turned himself in yesterday, and they gave him, they kind of gave him some terms. Like, look, we'll release you right now if you don't go back and preach. If you don't
promise not to preach.
Yeah, if you promise not to do church, basically, or promise to follow the order. The order right now is you got to be 15% capacity
Or less.
and the capacity's judged off fire code.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 50% less capacity of the fire code.
Or less. And so they gave him this deal. We'll release you right now. You won't go to jail if you do this. And he said, I can't agree to those terms. So they booked him. He's in prison. He stayed in jail overnight.
Okay.
And so now it's Wednesday, and he's still in jail. The last I heard from Pastor Jacob.
You know what that
Rayom.
reminds me of is the apostles in Acts. Right?
How does it remind you of that?
Remember the Pharisees, the chief priests, they say, you got to stop preaching
That's right.
Jesus.
Yep.
And they said,
I can't.
whether it's right to obey God or man,
Yeah.
why don't you decide?
Yeah.
But we're going to preach.
Right.
And they got released anyways, but he got booked. But
I wonder. I don't think I would have turned myself in.
yeah, that's maybe a minor thing. I'd say come and get
Yeah.
me.
I
I think-
was just wondering if there's a legal calculation.
I'm sure.
That he
No,
made
I'm
by turning
I'm
himself
betting
in.
that
Sure.
was probably
Yeah.
for him. But when they have right now, they have the guns, they have all the ability to shut you down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make them look as horrible as I can get them to look in this
right.
particular
Yeah.
situation.
Film it all, put it
that
all on
they're
film.
taking a pastor who is loving people, who's probably when you think about the church and what it does, how it takes care of the poor, how it takes care of the widows and the orphans, how how the church services the community, and what you want to do right now is destroy one of the best serving entities in our community.
Right.
No, you're going to come get me, sir.
Right.
And I'm hoping
this is like them arresting a doctor who has too many patients in his office.
That is saving lives.
You aren't social distancing in your office.
It's who's saving lives.
It's worse than that because this man is caring for the souls of human beings.
Right. Not just their present lives, but their eternal lives.
But here's the other thing that drives me a little upset. Makes me a little upset about this is where are the.
It drives you upset.
It drives me upset. Yeah. Thanks, Gabe.
You're talking like you're from Texas.
Well, why do I get blamed for this?
And I mean this. Where are the other churches?
I know.
For real.
Where? How in the world with this pastor? It feels like when I talk to some of my brothers there in Canada who are still having services, it seems like they're fighting these battles with just like 2 or 3 people around them.
Man.
That police station should be crowded with people standing outside of it.
Where's the song
They're trying to book everybody.
Yeah. So,
well, here's the thing: is they aren't arresting the congregation.
Right.
They can't.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
That's
what I was going to ask. At what point, though? Because at the end of this video that we got to play,
my bad.
One of the things that they said is that if he goes back to church, hey, there's somebody else there that's going to minister. He gets arrested again.
He says they're going to preach,
and they're going to preach.
They're going to keep having church.
So then now somebody else is going to have to turn themselves in or get arrested. Then somebody. So at what point?
You just call us up when you run out of pastors. Just call Toby up.
I'll
call us up. We're there.
We're there. I'm ready to be there.
We'll take the 16-hour drive up to Edmonton and do it.
But why is it that the churches themselves haven't said no?
Yeah. All of Alberta.
Yeah.
All of Alberta should be up in arms.
Absolutely
Didn't you say
not.
Alberta was like really conservative?
So Alberta is the most conservative province in Canada, and they also have Calgary, which is kind of like the Texas of Canada. You know, Calgary.
Okay.
They have the
You
Stampede.
just said that? You said it's the Texas of Canada?
I did.
I'm sorry, Canadians.
Deep in the heart of Texas. Even
really sorry about that, guys.
Hey, they have the Stampede every year, which is this huge cowboy fest.
Yeah.
Well, there's cowboys there, and pastors are still getting arrested.
And they're letting pastors get arrested.
Yeah.
You know, that I just don't understand. Guys, we actually can say no.
No,
but here's the thing:
if everybody stands up, they are done.
That's right.
That's the thing.
That's right. It's over.
If all the Canadians stand up and say no,
it's over.
We're going to worship God, and y'all leave us alone. It's done.
But
they can't arrest everybody.
Here's the thing: is when your laws target good people, you're the wicked one.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right? When your laws target good people, you're basically declaring war on good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
And you've become evil.
And you've become evil.
You're the bad guys.
You know, your laws are supposed to protect good citizens.
That's right.
Good people.
That's right.
And when you take all these legalistic laws and basically make everyone guilty in one form or another in Canada,
you know your laws are broken when they don't protect the righteous.
That's what I mean. Even with all the masking mandates, it's the same thing. It was one of the things that my wife said to me at one point. She says the reason I hate this is because now we're all criminals.
That's right.
Like moms and kids, like basically, you get within 6 feet or whatever, and you're not wearing your mask.
You've criminalized everybody.
You're a criminal.
Yep.
And that's how you know it's a wicked law.
The reason why we're not seeing such a strong defiance against what just happened with this pastor is that we haven't been exercising that muscle of defiance anywhere.
Right. No.
Well, you said this. You said this earlier when we were preparing, but fire codes.
Right.
I mean,
that's exactly right.
When you told the government, we want you to tell us what's safe in our building.
That's right.
You handed them the keys.
Yep.
That's right.
You said, we want you to tell us what's safe. Well, they're doing that now.
Yeah.
And they're completely wrong.
That's right.
That's really good.
And just to piggyback on what you said, when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, it was Daniel.
Yeah.
And when those guys found out that they were inside of, they were under captivity, they found places to push where they could.
Yeah.
We're not going to eat the meat.
With vegetable requirements.
We're going to have our own diet.
That's right.
Well, you're going to get me killed. Well, this is how it's going to be.
Christians don't think strategically enough about, the best defense is a good offense.
That's right.
And frequently we are always on the defensive. We're always reacting.
Right.
And because we say, well, we'll fight back when they say I have to sin.
Right.
But that's a losing strategy. This is one of the reasons why we had our psalm sing protests at City Hall here in Moscow.
That's right.
We wanted to take the fight to them.
Well, they had already overstepped. Yeah. They're already in sin.
You have to make room. This is what godly leaders do. They make room for they make room for godliness. They make room for obedience.
Right.
And that means pushing beyond what's absolutely necessary.
Yeah. That's right.
But making room for obedience is necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what godly leaders have to do.
I also think there's an important apologetic here in this lesson that's going on. So, I said earlier, when your laws are targeting good people, you're the wicked one. The only way you can judge if a law's good or right is if you have a truth, the foundational truth, biblical standard, and all this. And we've refused. The church has refused to apply the Bible to our political laws for decades, right? And so we got to have an apologetic, for sorting through this. So Pastor James Coates, he's a theonomist, whether he realizes it or not,
right? Absolutely.
Everybody who recognizes that the Bible is your standard is a theonomist, right? Since Edmonton, did you say Edmonton or Calgary is the Texas of Alberta. Does that mean that all their windmills are frozen?
No. I don't even know if they have windmills up there.
I'm just going to play this out. This is just to play this whole
As you guys have been following that burst of cold through the United States has impacted probably Texas the most.
Turns out Texas is completely woke.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I got a map up here on our screen. Here's kind of this is as of today. Here's where all the cold.
Look at that.
It's dominating the U.S.
So Minnesota looks normal.
Yesterday,
it's always cold.
Yesterday there was a high of 90 degrees on Florida, and I think a low of like negative 30 in Minnesota, or North Dakota. Don't you know?
I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, what's the weather right now?" She's like, "I think it's 2."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
So I think that was the biggest range that we've ever had in the history of keeping ranges. I'm pretty sure that I read that. But
in the history of ever.
So in Texas, there's been a huge energy problem. They've had rolling blackouts. This
Which
is actually
like the Calgary of Alberta.
Yeah. I don't know if I can agree to that one.
Oh, my goodness.
And here's a map of where the rolling blackouts are at. So I asked you earlier.
I saw this.
You see this map.
So what is the blue squares?
So that's green. Is you see blue?
Okay, don't do that to me.
It's very blue. It's very blue.
That's
wow.
Are we just now finding out that you're not only deaf but
green,
also?
It looks green over here and blue over here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
Okay.
So what's the darker blue versus the lighter blue?
So the darker blue is actually where the blackouts have been greater. That's it. So that's all this.
Longer blackouts?
Longer, and I think...
Is it blacker in those ones?
Maybe that's what they should have done. Basically, where the blackouts have been lasted longer, or been more serious blackouts.
Okay, that's kind of a lot.
It is a lot. And
Texas is like, so that means
this mayor yesterday posted on his Facebook page.
Yeah,
he told his citizens, stop complaining, go figure it out yourselves. Don't. And he basically was saying, using the argument like, stop asking for handouts.
Yeah,
because their houses were they didn't have they didn't have electricity. A lot of my friends there, their water pipes are frozen because they have no electricity to keep the house heated.
Right.
Texas is like one of the biggest oil regions in the world.
They have the most natural energy resources in the United States. Their shale natural gas shales are huge.
Right.
They're significant. Of course, oil, Midland, Texas, Houston area.
There's something else. So right now, Texas is getting hit for this too, but something else is unique about Texas. So, we have an eastern power grid. We have a western power grid.
Yep.
And
Texas has its own power grid.
Texas actually has its own power grid. And it's been fighting for this.
Which you would think was good.
And it's in Austin.
Yeah.
So they've been fighting to keep it from Washington, which is real. Like I like that. I like that they're doing that.
Yeah.
But turns out a huge percentage of their power is from this alternative energy.
So they started in the last 15 years
submerging their power,
building a lot of wind turbines. They actually Texas produces the most wind turbine electricity in the United States.
But still, it's not much. When I look at it, their natural gas supply of Texas is 40%.
40%.
And so then the wind turbines are producing 23% of their power.
Okay.
But here's what's crazy. Coal.
I think between solar and wind turbine, I think it's about 30%.
Yeah. Okay. So the coal is at 18% and then nuclear is at 11%. And I'm thinking to myself, well, let's just flip this whole thing kind of the other way.
But Gabe,
but nuclear is taboo.
Wind and solar doesn't actually work.
The best time that wind turbines actually work is about 2 to 4 in the morning.
Yeah, they don't work.
Well, that's where the wind is usually the highest.
Does it actually pencil?
No. Well,
say it.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
So
that's my point.
So to produce with hydro, I know the numbers here in the U.S. in the Northwest. With hydro, it's about 3 cents a kilowatt to produce electricity. With solar, with wind turbine, it's about 14 to 18 cents per kilowatt to produce electricity.
Right.
So you basically are, 5 timesing it?
Yep.
To produce electricity from alternative or what we call green energy sources.
The only reason people are doing this right now is because you get money from the federal government.
The only reason why the states are doing this.
Right.
personal people, they aren't. Well, no, you could actually get subsidies for solar panels on your roof.
But I'm saying
that's right.
The Texas power grid's not so free.
Right. No, it's not.
Yeah, it's separate from the federal government, which is nice.
But they're taking money.
They're still they're subsidizing it one way or another.
To build these big, useless metal sticks.
Well, that's one of the funny things about what the mayor said, and he actually stepped down the day before he posted this, so he started speaking freer after But one of the things he said was, if you need electricity, go make your own electricity.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, well, first of all, part of the problem is we monopolize electricity, right. So the people are complaining to the mayor because he's part of the problem, right?
Monopolize it.
But when he said that, I was like, okay, well, let's do this. Let me make my own electricity.
Yeah, just get out my way.
Let me make my own nuclear electricity in my house.
What'd you say?
Nuclear? Yeah. Let me do it.
One of the things I think we're learning through this, because I've watched this, there's a lot of political stuff happening. Like, everybody is experiencing a problem. I don't care what their power supply is. Right. If it's gas, whatever it is, it's cold there and things just are freezing.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's a problem. But what we're seeing is how they're playing the political game and push it over to one side or the other. I think this is a little bit of one of the things, if you read C.R. Wiley, he reminds me when I read his stuff that God's world is designed a particular way. When you work with wood, you realize that it has a breaking point.
Right. It has a grain.
It has a grain. Right. It has, if you're going to work with it, it's designed a particular way. It's not malleable. You can't make wood like plastic. It doesn't work that way. And in God's world, we've been trying to act like that you can do things with it that it's not designed to do.
Right.
And what we're seeing right now with Texas is we're understanding that God's world is designed a particular way, and you can't have power via fiat.
Right.
Yeah,
any more than you can have money by fiat.
But we haven't understood that yet because we're playing this fun little game that we think that it won't ever come home to roost. But what happens is, so the generation of power can't meet the demand right now, and we're seeing what happens when that goes down. And we're seeing, you can't just decrease something and think you're going to get something else out of it.
Right.
And it's telling us God's world is designed a particular way. You can only function this way.
That's how you get blackouts.
That's how you get blackouts. Well, what do you think is going to happen when the economy decides to cash itself in at some point?
Blackout.
Yeah. The economy is going to black out. The U.S. is going to black out. That's exactly right.
And so if you're looking at this and you're seeing this, okay, this is going to have us fixed. At some point, they're going to figure out the problem's going to be solved. And what we typically do is going right back into our normal function. We don't have the problem in front of us anymore. So let's just keep coasting all the way through. What you should be doing is saying, what else is designed this way? And how do I start setting myself up so that I don't have to live?
That's right.
And when this world does black out.
This is what we call being anti-fragile.
That's exactly right.
It means being prepared, but also being prepared in such a way that when the crisis comes, you're actually in a position to thrive.
That's exactly right.
Which is actually, I think, one of the gifts of all of this. I mean,
that's right.
Pastor Coates, this is winning.
That's right.
Just so you know, Pastor Coates, your family, your church, I hope you're encouraged. This is where the gospel shines.
Amen.
And it's not just in church. It has to do with Christian businessmen and Christian families.
That's right.
And Christian cities, places that say, you know what, I want to be free, which means I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to be preparing for these kinds of things so that I can love my family, I can love my neighbor, I can love my community. That's called being free, and it's in those moments that the gospel shines.
That's right.
It shines.
That's right. It really does shine.
That's where it wins. It wins there.
And we've given Texas, we've given our government so much control over our lives. We let them control the power grids. Yeah. We let them control the freeways. We let them control all the infrastructure out there.
Yeah.
And we need to, I was in Texas in 1989 when they had the last storm that was like this, the last winter storm that was like this with all the snow and the cold. This one's it is a little worse, a little colder and a little more snow, but it wasn't tons different. Right. But we had no rolling blackouts in 1989.
The thing is the thing that people need to realize, and a big takeaway here is centralization.
That's right.
Centralization is always, it feels strong.
Yeah.
And it feels safe.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
But what centralization fundamentally does, though, it makes you vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because
on a mass scale.
Because now all you have to do is take out, there's a kingpin, there's some Achilles heel, and then you take that out, and now it's boom.
Yeah.
Whereas this is why the anti-fragile perspective is one of the glory of decentralization.
Yeah,
where you're diversified,
Yeah.
And so that not one thing can take you down. And fundamentally, it makes you stronger because you can keep working, you can keep going as a family, as a business, as a church, as a community.
The book Anti-Fragile is a good one to have on this, but there's another one called The Spider and the Starfish.
Oh.
And so it's basically the same concept. With the spider, you have many legs, but you got one brain.
Yeah.
If you hit the brain, so long legs.
You're gone.
But a starfish, if you decide to cut it in half, you make 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because of the way that it's designed. It's all very local, right? And so the thing I want to say with this too is that when you look at something like this and you say, well, man, where do we start from? We got Texas. We don't have power. Yeah. Everything's messed up. You can't just start from back at scratch again, right? You have to slowly, and this is something we all forget, slowly figure out, even with the pastor too, slowly figure out ways to peel yourself back to become more self-sufficient. It can't all happen overnight. We can see the problem immediately. We thank God for the problem and say, okay, Lord, now God, give us wisdom. Help us at this point to figure out how we slowly pull away so that we can be self-sufficient and be a blessing to people in situations and times
all
like
of this is a gift. And so all of this is a gift.
Here's how my friends in Texas are being self-sufficient is they're using sabers to open up cows so they can get warm and they'll climb inside the cow.
Don't waste that beef. You know? Don't waste that beef.
Hey, you eat that beef and it makes you warm too at the same time.
I would also recommend Man of the House by C.R. Wiley. I would also recommend not trying to cut open cows
to stay warm.
It
worked in Star Wars.
Also, Life After Google by George Gilder. Same principle. This is why he believes Google's going to fail.
That's right.
And why places like Gab and blockchain are going to win.
If just Sunday we're talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah, we are. We got about Jimmy Song coming on.
So I'm looking forward to that. So get all your Bitcoin stuff ready. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them until Sunday. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.